won't believe me. Hell, I barely believe it myself. As I sit here watching the Vatican burn, smoke curling toward a blood-red sunset, I can't help but laugh. I light another cigarette with trembling hands, the flame briefly illuminating my distorted reflection in a puddle of what might be water, might be something else. It all started with a stupid test, one I thought I'd passed. I didn't think I'd survive, but here I am. What's left of me anyway? 6 months ago, I arrived at the Vatican's Pontifical Academy for Exorcism training. 23 years old, naive but devout. Father Michael D'Angelo, ready to battle the forces of darkness with prayer and faith. They said I had natural gifts, a sensitivity to the beyond. I didn't realize then what that actually meant. Training was rigorous. Dawn prayers, theological study, observing senior exorcists. We learned to recognize demonic signatures, practiced binding rituals, studied cases of possession throughout history. The instructors pushed us hard, Cardinal Visconti especially, his ancient, gaunt face always watching, assessing. The enemy is patient, he'd remind us. It waits for weakness, for doubt. Among the trainees, there were whispers, stories passed between seminarians after lights out, about those who disappeared, about a test called the descent. Some said it was just another name for expulsion. Those who couldn't handle the pressure were quietly removed. Others claimed it was something else entirely. "They take you below," whispered novice Santiago one night. "Below everything, to face what lurks there." I dismissed it as hazing mythology. The Vatican had secrets, certainly, but nothing like that. We were men of God after all. I was so fucking stupid. It happened on the third night of the winter solstice. 3 sharp knocks at my door, 3:33 a.m. according to my watch. When I opened it, Cardinal Visconti stood there with 2 others I didn't recognize. Their faces seemed oddly elongated in the dim light. "Brother D'Angelo," Visconti said, "you've been selected." "Selected?" my voice cracked. "For what? Your Eminence?" "The descent." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "A great honor. Prepare yourself." They gave me 5 minutes to dress. No explanations, no time to notify anyone. Just a black cassock and instructions to bring nothing else. Pride swelled beneath my fear. I had been chosen for something special, something important. We walked through corridors I'd never seen before, descending spiral staircases that seemed to go on forever. The air grew stale, then cold, then oddly warm and wet. The walls narrowed until we had to walk single file. I noticed something off about the shadows cast by our candles. They stretched upward instead of out, climbing the walls like living things eager to escape. "Your Eminence," I ventured, "where exactly are we going?" "To the true heart," Visconti replied, without turning. "The Vatican above is merely a shell. What you will see tonight has existed since before Christ." We passed through a stone archway, carved with symbols I didn't recognize, neither Latin nor Greek nor Hebrew. The ceiling dropped so low we had to crouch, yet somehow felt impossibly high above us. My sense of direction completely failed. Down became up, right became wrong. The first truly impossible thing I saw was a fresco on the ceiling, no, the floor, of Pope Innocent III. But his eyes followed me as I passed, and when I looked directly at him, his painted mouth whispered words I couldn't make out. Droplets of something dark dripped upward from his stigmata. "Don't look directly at the artwork," one of the unnamed cardinals hissed. "It likes attention." We turned a corner and emerged into a vast chamber that couldn't possibly exist beneath the Vatican or anywhere on Earth. The ceiling soared hundreds of feet above, yet we had descended far deeper than that. Massive columns twisted like DNA helixes, supporting nothing. Gravity felt wrong here. My rosary floated slightly upward when I released it. In the center stood an altar, but unlike the sacred altars above, this one was obsidian black, carved with scenes of torment that seemed to writhe when viewed peripherally. Candles around it burned with black flames, dripping wax that smelled like burnt hair. "We have brought him," Visconti announced to the empty chamber. "The sensitive one, as requested." The air shimmered, and that's when I realized we weren't alone. Figures in ceremonial robes lined the walls, dozens of them, standing perfectly still. How had I not seen them before? Their faces were hidden in shadow, but I could feel their attention fixed on me. "Brothers," Visconti addressed them, "we present Initiate D'Angelo for the communion with his inverse holiness." My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't an exam or a test of faith. I was being offered up for something, a sacrifice or witness I didn't yet know. The hooded figures began to chant in reversed Latin, the words familiar yet wrong, like hearing your mother's voice say unspeakable things. Though backward, I understood perfectly. The above shall be below, the right shall be wrong, the light shall be shadow. From behind the altar, something began to rise. At first, I thought it was smoke or shadow, but it solidified into a form that hurt my eyes to look upon. A figure dressed in papal robes, but wrong, inverted colors, symbols twisted into obscene parodies. Where the papal tiara should have been, a crown of bone and sinew pulsed with unnatural life. The anti-pope.
"Michael D'Angelo."
Its voice vibrated through my bones rather than my ears.
"You stand at the threshold between worlds."
It glided forward, and I saw its face, or rather, the absence of one. Just a swirling void beneath the hood, occasionally forming features that resembled men I knew, then twisting into impossible geometries.
"You believe you serve the light,"
It continued.
"but light creates shadow, and in shadow, truth."
I tried to pray, but the words burned my tongue. My training evaporated like morning dew. I was nothing before this entity, less than nothing. "Your Eminences," I gasped, turning to Visconti. "What is this? This can't be." "Sanctioned." Visconti smiled. "My boy, this is the oldest tradition of our order. The public Vatican serves its purpose. But this is where true power resides." The anti-pope raised skeletal hands.
"The faithful need never know the machinery that maintains their faith. For every saint, a sinner must be made. For every miracle, a sacrifice."
I noticed then that I wasn't the only initiate present. Across the altar, Santiago knelt, eyes vacant, mouth forming silent prayers. He had been brought down before me.
"You wonder why you were chosen,
The anti-pope's voice filled my skull.
because you have the sight, the sensitivity. Your soul resonates with both worlds."
It extended one hand toward me, the other toward Santiago.
"One must receive, one must give. This is the balance."
"I won't," I whispered. "I serve God." The anti-pope's laughter shook dust from the twisted columns.
"Which God? The one above or the one below? They are reflections, child. Two sides of existence.
It drifted closer.
Your pride brought you here. Your desire to be special, to stand above your brothers. Did you think your selection was based on purity? Taste the darkness in you, the doubt, the anger, the ambition."
Every hidden thought, every secret sin I'd harbored flooded my consciousness. the resentment toward my father, the envy of my more successful peers, the pride I took in being chosen.
Take the crown of freedom,
The anti-pope whispered.
Embrace the truth that Rome has hidden for 2 millennia. There is no salvation without damnation, no heaven without us.
Santiago suddenly screamed, a sound no human throat should make. His body contorted, limbs bending backward as he rose into the air. Black ichor poured from his eyes, mouth, ears, flowing upward against gravity, forming a swirling vortex around the anti-pope's bone crown. No! I lunged forward, but Visconti and the others restrained me. It must be completed, Visconti hissed. One receives the blessing, one provides the vessel. Santiago's body collapsed in on itself like a dying star, compressing into a singularity of pain and light that rushed into the crown of the anti-pope. The entity's form solidified, became more real, more present. It turned to me with eyes that were now fully formed, human eyes I recognized from my own mirror. The offering is complete, it said with my voice. Now you will carry a piece of me back above. It pressed one finger to my forehead, and the world exploded into negative space. I woke in the Vatican gardens, morning dew soaking my cassock. Birds sang. Tourists snapped photos nearby. Everything looked normal. For about 10 minutes. Then I noticed the first irregularity. A marble statue of St. Peter with black liquid seeping from its eyes. When I pointed it out to a passing monk, he saw nothing unusual. Throughout that day, the anomalies multiplied. Shadows that moved against their casters. Latin inscriptions that rearranged their letters when I looked away. A cardinal whose reflection showed something else entirely. None of my fellow seminarians remembered Santiago. His room had become a storage closet that had always been there. When I mentioned the descent to my roommate, he looked at me with genuine confusion. But Cardinal Visconti knew. I caught him watching me during Mass, a knowing smile playing on his thin lips as I struggled through prayers that suddenly felt like ash in my mouth. At sunset, I saw birds fall dead from the sky above St. Peter's Square. No one else seemed to notice them hitting the ground and disintegrating into black dust that flowed upward into the church vents. I could see both worlds now, the Vatican everyone knew, and the upside-down Vatican spreading its influence upward like roots, breaking through foundation. That night, I didn't want to pray. I wanted to burn it all. The thought came so naturally it terrified me. What had the anti-pope put inside me? In my dreams, I walked upside-down corridors where popes, with empty eye sockets, whispered that I was chosen as the vessel, the bridge between worlds. I woke tasting blood, finding my pillow covered in black ichor that evaporated in sunlight. Day by day, I saw more. The cardinals had inhuman shadows. During communion, the wine was too thick, too dark. I caught glimpses of the anti-pope in reflective surfaces, watching, waiting. I tried to warn others, but my words came out as gibberish, or worse, as praise for things I meant to condemn. When I attempted to cross the Vatican border, invisible forces pulled me back. I was trapped, changed, the anti-pope's anchor in the world above. Which brings me to tonight, 1 month after my descent, as St. Peter's burns. I didn't start the fire, at least not consciously. But I watched my hands placing candles in specific patterns throughout the basilica, even as I screamed silently inside my mind. Black flames spread impossibly fast, consuming centuries of history and faith. Yet the fire burns only what I can see. Tourists and priests walk through the flames unharmed, unaware, while the true Vatican, The shell of the world I once knew is cleansed for what comes next. The anti-pope rises, not from below now, but from within, from me. I take a final drag of my cigarette, watching the smoke curl up to meet the unnatural darkness gathering above the burning cathedral. Cardinals gather around me now, their eyes showing recognition of what I've become. They kneel in a circle, heads bowed. It is time, Visconti says quietly. The merger is complete. I feel the crown of bone materializing above my head, hanging like a halo in negative space. My shadow stretches impossible across the square, touching every pilgrim, every believer. The anti-pope didn't need to conquer. We were already his, had been from the beginning. The real Vatican was upside down all along, and now, finally, the worlds are aligning as they were always meant to. I smile at the faithful passing by, unaware that they now worship at both altars, above and below, right and wrong. And isn't that the greatest horror? Not that evil exists alongside good, but that perhaps they never were different things at all.